Hello and welcome to Rat Class. This episode is one of the three-parters about animals. So if you like this one, you can find one of the others and try and listen to that. In this one, I'm going to talk about adopting animals and abandoning animals. And if you are abandoning an animal, it is illegal. It's against the law. Just stating that. And this is mainly about pets. So, adopting and abandoning. A lot of pets every year actually get abandoned or put into shelters because the owners either couldn't afford them anyways, the pets grew larger than the people had room for, and um, the owners didn't have the abilities needed to make sure the pet behaved well and such stuff. So a lot of animals actually get put up for shelters every year. And just in the USA, about 6.5 million animals get put into shelters every year. And that is a lot of animals. And sadly, 1.5 millions, more or less, is euthanized. They're killed because the shelters don't have room or they're sick or old. And then, luckily, about 3 millions actually get adopted every year, and that is amazing. So let's talk a bit about um, the animals here. So if you have a pet that you have bought, and let's say you have to move to another locations where pet ain't allowed, well, what are your options? Well, either you can give them to a shelter, or you can find a family on your own that want to take in your animal. Um, and it is something we really have to be aware of because people often get pets and then the pets grew up bigger than they thought they would do. But a lot of the time we get pets because we want some companionship or something like that. But at times we might forget what it takes to actually have a pet. And then the pets are sadly sometimes just dumped off somewhere. And then you just hope they find a new owner. And some pets are found every year. It's just roaming the streets and they're then taken in by shelters. Sometimes they actually find the owners and bring the pet back. Other times there's no way to find the owner. And it's sad. So if you want a pet, it's a good idea to actually look at shelters first because you might actually find um, a pet who will be a great first pet for your family in shelters. And it will help the shelters having room for new animals coming in, but it will also help them cover cost and so on. So if you want a first-time pet, I would say adopting is a good way to go because then you are completely sure what you're getting. One thing you should never do is actually just abandon your pet because that's just cruel. And it's something that sadly happens a lot. And if you don't believe there's wild dogs, just look at Australia, Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Italy, Romania, Russia, Serbia, United States, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, Thailand, China, where there's a lot of dogs walking around in the streets around the countryside because that is what happens when a lot of animals are just um, dropped outside the door and left to fend for themselves. They began to go wild again. And that is a problem because wild dogs are no longer able to become pets again if they have been wild for a long, long time. So it's really something that we need to be aware of. So if you have a pet that you can't again afford or have room for, as I said earlier, try and find a new home for them because just setting them out is pure evil. Sometimes pets come into shelters because the owners actually misbehaved, and then the animals have been taken away from the owner. And those animals might seem like they could never adopt into real homes and families, but they can, because as soon as they find out that humans ain't evil, they will just love you forever. And it's something that you sometimes sees in the news where you see um, a dog who tries to go and pick up the person from school every day, even though the person has moved out, or uh, uh, dogs who actually find their way home after they have been lost for ages. Even this sad story about a dog who laid at the grave of its owner every day, and that just shows the love and compassion that a pet can have. So that is something we really need to be aware of, because when we are just dumping them off the street, you are breaking their heart. And I will say, I could compare that to if you were able to take your child, just put them out into a forest and walk away. That is that is basically the same form of cruelty, because a lot of the animals become our child. They become part of the family. They become one with all of us. And when you get a pet and you have it for a long time, it learns from the family and your family learns from it. So if you, for example, had a dog or a cat you have taken in from a shelter where the previous owner used to do something bad to it, when you do the same thing, the pet at first will become scared because it is used to being this time where it got punished. And it could be a lot of different things. And it's something that we really need to be aware of, because it's the same kind of behavior you see with kids, that if they're used to that, this action ends up getting them hit in the head, they will not do that out of fear of getting hit in the head. And it's the same thing with pets. And you often hear people say, well, a dog has the same knowledge as a 7-year-old child. And that is why it's easy to compare and see it in that point of view. So if you have a pet, you can teach it a lot of good things, and it will actually help you as well in understanding the world of being social and what to do and not what not to do. And I know a lot of people who have pets, and some of them adopted the pets from shelters. And when you see or hear about the animals, they're just doing amazingly. And it seems like the animals knew that these people are saving them from a harsh world, because the love they give out is just so much that it's heartbreaking to think that this animal actually got dumped somewhere and it was found by animal services and brought to a shelter. And it's heartbreaking to just talk about as well. And that is why I'm gonna end this on just saying, if you can adopt an animal and you have room and time and money for it, then adopt an animal, because you might be saving an animal from a life in a cage for a long time while it awaits a person that will love it and care for it. And if you have an animal that you can't handle, never dump them in the wild. Always take them to a shelter, or find someone you know needs an animal and give it to them, because dumping and abandoning animals is cruel and it's heartbreaking and it's something that we really need to stop doing. So this has been Rare Class, and I hope that this has been an okay listen. And remember, this is a part of a three-part special about animals. So if you like this one, please listen to the others. And if you like those, don't feel afraid to share them around and talk about it so we can become more aware of this. So I hope you enjoyed this. And you can find me on Reddit, Instagram, Facebook. Come join me. And I hope you all have a very nice day.